Real-time wash, clay,
and seal. I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
This is DIY Detail. We're gonna take this beautiful little CLA and make it just a little more beautiful. It's a little,
that was amping up the gloss.
yeah, you're amping up the gloss. We're amping up the gloss, we're amping up the shine, and we're getting rid of the contamination. It's gritty, to say the least. We'll be doing so very quickly, very efficiently. This is something that I did in my shops. This was our most profitable service, even more profitable than ceramic coatings.
Nothing in this is gonna be too noisy, so Ivan, why don't we get to work and talk as we do it?
Well, there will be a bit of noise because we have contractors in the building working on our HVAC system, so you may hear the odd little pounding noise. Don't worry about it. First thing we have to do is we apply DIY Detail Rinseless Wash version 2 over the whole surface of the car.
Using a keg sprayer, but we could easily use
the foamer that's right beside you.
Yep, or we could use a spray bottle and dip it in our Rinseless wash bucket.
Yeah, either or will work.
I'm not surprised. I haven't already had this thing ready to go. There's no room for idleness here. No room for chit chat. We got a car to wash.
Get the job done.
Ivan, what's your preferred method of getting rinses on the paint? I think I know what it is. It's in your hand, but
yeah,
I mean, talk to me about the keg versus the sprayer versus a spray bottle.
The keg, I've got a foaming handle on it now. You can put a spray handle. It puts out a little more product. It maintains its air pressure much longer than an IK sprayer. The IKs are nice, they work, but this is just a little bit nicer and it works just a little bit better. Now what you have in your hand is a lot of fun. It's actually a little battery powered sprayer. We got it off Amazon and it just works.
That's a good way of putting it. It just works.
Yeah.
What are we doing with the wheels here? What's your Rinseless wash wheel cleaning solution?
Spray them on.
Just spray it on. All right.
Yeah.
I can dig it.
Then from there, like we do with foaming, we foam, we rinse, we foam. We're gonna be applying the chemical, rinsing it, and applying it again.
This is real time, so
yeah,
we're gonna watch his efficiency in real time. No time to waste. As soon as Ivan's done with the rinsing, I'll go ahead and lay more solution on. You good for me to start back here?
Yes, sir. That side's not done, Nick.
More rinseless never hurt anybody. Going to the keg. So this is a foaming tip. It might be confusing to folks.
Yeah, so our Rinseless wash actually can foam. This is a foaming tip. We have a standard dilution of 256:1, which is our dilution for everything with Rinseless wash. And it's simple, it's easy, it's efficient. And yes, you do get a bit of foam. If you want it to foam more, you have to use too much, as far as I'm concerned. But if you're doing it as a pre-foam step, yes, you can. Now,
would that be beneficial? Would foaming it instead of just spraying it on do a better initial first coverage?
Not really.
Okay.
But, you know, people find foam fun, so.
Yeah, you don't want to kill their fun, Ivan.
Yeah. Then
we ran out of solution in that sprayer. We've been using it in the shop this week, so
yeah,
I like the keg.
Now, one thing I like about the Rinseless wash is you can see exactly where you've been. So you can see by the look of each panel what's happening with it.
I can certainly hear the contamination under this sponge, which is
yeah, there's a bit of it.
Yeah. If you ever have doubts, should I use the rinse method or should I just go no hose and just use Rinseless wash? I always suggest you use the hose.
Yeah.
Because I just feel so safe on the paint now.
Yeah, error on the side of safety.
Because rinseless doesn't mean no rinsing, it just means rinse less.
Exactly. We don't need to rinse after this part of it, so.
How many times do you have to rinse if you use a foam cannon?
Well, at least twice.
And then if you're using iron remover,
Each additional step is an additional rinse.
and then if you use water spot remover, there's other times where you're gonna rinse a lot. This is just a one rinse method, so.
Yeah. Basically the rinsing, the pre-foaming and then the rinsing, what it's done is it's emulsified the dirt and taken the grit off the surface. That way when we're going over it with a sponge, we're just removing the traffic film.
You're so right though with the rinseless wash sponge, like you can see where you've been. That's incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
Obviously you can see where you've been when you use soap like Incredible Suds, but you can't see the paint as well.
No, and even though you can see where you've been, you don't see it as well. Case in point, refer back to our first videos. Go back on the channel. If you're not subscribed, you're missing something. Go back to those old videos and watch sometimes when Nick is going around a wheel well. He used to think they were square back then. And it was easy to tell where he had missed. Whereas with the rinseless water or with the soap, it's a little more difficult to tell.
And you're a good, if tough coach, and you continue to be. When I miss spots, you let me know, and just gotta keep working on my game, you know?
Yeah. Now you notice I started with the hood, worked my way back on the car, but I left the front end. Leaving the front end for last, if there's any insects that have decided to, let's say, go to their final resting place on the front of the vehicle, the rinseless wash has had time to emulsify them and make them much easier to remove. And now we're ready to do the and seal portion.
Well, the clay and seal, right?
Right.
Are we really claying the car, Ivan?
No, we're not using a clay. We're using our perforated synthetic decontamination towel that's been getting prepared in the bucket of rinseless.
As you do that, I want to say we get all the questions in the world. We answer them. Please ask your questions here on YouTube because all the comments get responded to.
Yes.
One thing I see with beginners is this is where we start to confuse them.
All right.
We teach iron remover as our clay lube, as our decon lubricant, right?
Yeah.
For this towel. And then we throw in something like this.
Right. So this is a quick maintenance wash addition, if I can put it that way.
Because you have ceramic gloss in your hand, right?
I have ceramic gloss on my hand. So instead of going by and just using ceramic gloss as a drying aid, I'm using it as my lubrication for the PSD towel, perforated synthetic decontamination towel. And whoa, that roof is contaminated. Okay.
and the hood is, okay, we started with an idea. Do you ever switch or pivot if you feel like it's too contaminated?
No.
So what's happening, Ivan? I'm hearing that scratchiness. I'm gonna keep going with no pressure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add a little more ceramic gloss, not too much. Too much is actually a bad thing because it can cure on you, but you do want to stay lubricated. So walk me through what's happening as folks can hear this.
So as we slowly go over the surface, you'll hear it less and less and less. And when you get to a point where you don't hear it and feel it anymore, then it's time to dry off.
And how do you know the vehicle is a candidate for the ceramic gloss clay lube method versus iron remover? Well, I know you mentioned maintenance wash.
Every vehicle is a candidate for iron remover. Every vehicle is a candidate for this. It's just, what do you feel like doing that day and what does it actually need? Because the contamination on the surface, especially on the upper portions like that, it's not iron, it's just environmental contamination. So an iron remover is not going to make any difference here. So with the wash clay seal, one thing that's important, we're in a garage here, but if you're working outside, you'll do one section at a time. So I've started with the greenhouse of the vehicle, and I'm going to let it air dry just a little bit, as I've done since I started with the windshield. And I'm going to use our little drying towel because with the ceramic gloss, it makes drying very easy. So we won't need a big towel here. You could use the drying blanket if that's what you've got. It's going to do a great job, but it's actually not necessary.
I think I got to a point on this paint, Ivan, where It was probably a 70% reduction in sound and feel.
Right. Now, as I said, in my shops, this was a very, very popular service. Customers would come in every 6 months to have this done.
And if I was a customer and I was like, what's a washed clay ceramic or a washed clay seal?
Yeah.
How would you define this for them?
I would categorize it like a wax almost.
Okay.
In the sense that we're not waxing your car, but we're actually removing the embedded contamination and we're leaving behind a long-lasting sealant.
Same principles apply with iron remover, where you spray once on the towel, once on the paint, apply your towel on the paint where you sprayed. Is that right? Or
yeah, correct.
You advise folks to use it? Okay.
Less is more.
And when we decontaminate, we're getting rid of all the embedded particles in the pores of the clear coat, Ivan.
Exactly.
You're gonna get a smoother surface. It's gonna be brighter on a lot of paints. It's how we would prepare for polishing and ceramic coating if we weren't using ceramic gloss. Ceramic gloss is protecting at the same time. So again, it's more of that maintenance wash. I actually do this more than once every 6 months on my vehicle. I'll sometimes on a maintenance wash just do it like this. I wanna get the decon towel on the paint just to know what's going on the hood. Sometimes I don't feel it, tactile, sensory, through the sponge, it's got such a fat surface.
Yeah.
It's meant to eliminate pressure points. This is the same thing in terms of eliminating pressure points. That's why we fold it into fours. But I can just feel what's on the paint more. So it's almost like a way that I check in with my paint. Even if I don't get every piece of contamination, I know what I have to know for the next wash or in a month from now if I'm gonna do a deeper dive detail.
And someone that does this every 3 to 6 months, they won't get the heavy accumulation of contamination we have here. This car's a 2018. It looks like it's been through a car wash more than once. And it may never have been contaminated in those 6 years.
So let's say we just washed it and used ceramic gloss as a drying aid.
Yeah.
What visually would be different? Anything?
It's not going to be as bright as the effect we're going to have now because we've removed that contamination that really sort of dulls the surface.
Does a certain paint color show the most visual transformation after decontamination?
White.
Yeah. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, white paint after you've deconned it. No polish necessary. It literally just brightens up the. You don't think of white paint as being bright. It's always black paint is the best when it's clean. White's kind of whatever. You have a nasty paint that gets a good clay, good decon. As a detailer, your client will notice. No need to even polish. All right.
And this front bumper is really contaminated. But going over it a couple times, and one thing you want to do is go over it, especially if an area is very contaminated, go over it a little bit and then let it sit and come back. When you let it sit and come back, your chemicals have had a little time to dwell and do their job, making it easier to eliminate the rest of the contamination. One spray on the panel, one on the towel, and go over the surface. Now, if you're doing this in direct sunlight, you'll do one panel at a time.
And don't forget your glass. We did the front windshield.
Yep.
We did the
Side windows.
side windows or whatever this moonroof is, or sunroof, or what do you call it, Ivan?
I think it's a sunroof since you can see the sun through it.
Or moon, depending on the
You
time
can't
of
see
day.
the moon as well, so it's an opening on the roof.
There you go. It's glass. You may not be able to see that. All right.
Yeah, the front bumper is actually more contaminated than the sides of the doors.
Really?
Yeah. Not that they're not contaminated, but
Is this a better or worse way to apply ceramic gloss as it relates to just using ceramic gloss as a drying aid, right? Just the typical way with a towel. You know, what's the difference in longevity here?
Longevity is not going to be that much, not much changed. But like we mentioned, the brightness and the feel of the paint will be so much better. So when
Could you get away with this method? Sorry, could you get away with this method if you were just using a clay bar?
You can, but it's going to take you a lot of time.
I would just warn folks out there who may have not done a lot of detailing. They've heard of clay bar, clay towel. A clay bar you may have to actually polish after. And with our decon towel, if you use the proper technique, which is lots of lubrication, flip this into fours, no pressure, you're not gonna have to actually polish afterwards. You're not marring up the paint. And that's why this is such an amazing way to do a maintenance wash with no fear of, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to polish after. So that's why I just sometimes do it on my weekly wash. I always use the decon towel on my front windshield because it's so good on bug guts. And while it's in my wash bucket anyway, sometimes I just do a quick little pass around the panels just to, like I said, check in with what's happening, especially like the hood.
Yeah. I'll just go around and dry it, and all I have to do is do the wheels.
One thing you might run into is if you approached it like we did, where we sprayed everything at once, you may get to a point where on your last few panels, you're actually seeing that rinseless dry on the surface. Go ahead and re-wet the surface with rinseless, right? You want to use that bed of lubrication and then your spray of ceramic gloss. Don't be like, well, they waited 12 minutes after spraying and they never reapplied rinseless. No, always err on the side of caution. You're in front of that car's paint, not us. Of course, we want common sense to dictate, but when you don't know what you don't know, I hope these tips are helpful. How's it going over there, Ivan?
Almost done, just have the back bumper to do, then the wheels.
It's a real-time wash, so we need a little more chat from Mr. Ivan LaCroix. We're the color commentators here, sir.
Well, it's all done, except for the wheels. And
I just added more rinseless, by the way, because I realized the bumper. I don't know if you got the bumper side.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's an example. What were you gonna say?
Well, the wheels, we've sprayed the rinseless on them. Then after that, we rinse them off with a pressure washer, and you can use a garden hose. And then we've sprayed the rinseless on again. That gives us a foundation of lubrication. In our wash bucket, we have, once again, a little bit of rinseless wash. I'm just gonna go around the wheel, one section at a time. And I'm not going for a deep barrel cleaning, because by the looks of these wheels, that's never been done. I'm just gonna go for the face like a car wash would do. Now that I've washed that wheel, I'm gonna scoot over to the front one because I'm gonna let it air dry a little bit. You know, why waste your time trying to sop up water when you have the tools and you can let the air do it for you?
Yeah, I think the theme of this is a very time-efficient maintenance wash.
Yeah, exactly.
There are also times when you deep dive, when you take the wheels off and you clean the barrels and you use every chemical in the lineup, and that's not what this wash is today.
No. So a couple sprays of ceramic gloss on the surface of the wheel. Then I'll grab a utility towel just to dry the wheel.
Ivan, I was focused on what I was doing. What are you using to clean the wheel faces?
The wheel and body brush.
Okay.
in the rinseless wash.
That's what I used, and then I saw this microfiber towel, and I was like, well, it's sopping wet with rinseless. Maybe I'll use that. I started at the valve stem, worked my way around, and it's looking good. Rinseless does a pretty nice job on these tires, actually.
Yeah, it does. You know, it is a great cleaner. People don't give it as much credit as it deserves as a cleaner. And that's as much true on the outside as on the inside of the car.
What are you using to dry the wheels after ceramic gloss?
I just got one of our old utility towels.
Yep.
Here, you can use it, Nick. I'm almost done.
Okay.
One more section to do. There we go. It's all yours.
Thank you.
Then, as they say, the cherry on the sundae, the icing on the cake. What's going to make a bit of a difference here? Our friend, tire dressing. Couple sprays on here, and just lightly go around the wheel. Now, our tire dressing is water-based, so yes, the tire's still wet. That's not a big deal. It's going to dry to actually a nice, even matte finish. And the brush allows us to not get it on the wheel face itself, but just on the tire. Allows us a lot of control. I just realized I forgot to dry the front bumper, so I'll get that done. We'll be all finished.
More than just a cursory wash. We decontaminated and protected for months.
And if you happen to allow the ceramic gloss to dry on the surface, no stress involved, just spray a little more on and it will re-liquefy what's on the surface. Nick, how are you doing there?
Doing great. Just wiping down the ceramic gloss on the wheel.
And then we're done.
Then we're done.
So that was a quick, easy way to wash, decontaminate, and seal your car. And if they like this, Nick, there might be another video they want to watch.